Hey everyone, I know it's been a very long time since I've done a speaking video on the feed, but I posted a story the other day about my sort of like new morning routine, and I was really surprised by all of the questions that were coming my way. It's really clear that a lot of you are really interested in making a similar change for yourselves. And so I wanted to sort of share some of the details, and I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about why this is feeling sort of different for me this year, and also why I feel like it maybe is an important shift for you to consider for yourself. Okay, so let's start with some of the basics. Why am I doing this? For about 6 months or so, I have been feeling really angsty about the fact that, by the time I'm done spending my morning with the kids, and I drop Aria off at school, it's about 8:45. And then I come home and I, prioritize getting in a workout, and, I sort of fit that in as best as I can, and am already starting the day at that point feeling really angsty about what time it is. At this point it's 9:30, it's approaching 10 o'clock. I've got meetings, and I'm often going into these meetings sort of sweaty and gross, barely sort of scraping by, and it always creates a lot of angst. It's never comfortable, it doesn't feel good, and I've always sort of rationalized why that's okay, to be like, well, whatever, I've got 2 kids, I have to be with them until I drop Aria off at school, and so this is just sort of what my life is going to be like. But I've always wanted to be more intentional with my mornings, and I have always wanted to have a more deliberate self-care practice that is more contained and established in the mornings. And I sort of had a pretty strong talking to with myself over the Christmas holidays. Like, this was like a real self-mothering moment where I was like, look, you really have to ask yourself, like, how do you want to feel? Because you're not feeling the way you want to feel. And it's your responsibility to change that. Either you can play the victim to your circumstances, the kids aren't going anywhere, or you can actually decide to make a change. And the very simple change was, I have to wake up earlier in the morning. But then we come into the situation where it's like, if I'm gonna wake up earlier in the morning, it means I have to go to bed earlier. And I have really struggled with that, to be honest, because I've often fallen into that revenge sleep cycle where after the kids go to bed, I'm exhausted and I'm cranky and I feel like I haven't had any me time. And so I want to recover with Netflix. And, as I'm going into that additional episode of whatever it is that I'm watching, I'm already feeling the guilt and the angst around the fact that I should be sleeping. So I'm not really having fun while I'm doing it. And then I'm waking up in the morning, feeling tired, or feeling, once again, angsty about the fact that, like, my morning isn't going the way I want it to. And so I sort of had an aha moment where I decided that it is a priority for me to feel a certain way, and that what I'm doing is not serving me. So I made the decision and the commitment to make sure that I go to bed by 10 p.m. Obviously, like, other than when we're being social and we're having people over or going for dinner and stuff, like, I'm not planning to imprison myself in my home. But for the most part, my plan is to be asleep by 10 p.m. and to wake up at 5 a.m. And I was like, you know what? Normally when I've thought about doing this for myself, it has been because I want to label myself as somebody who's like so hardcore, who's like cracked the code on their mornings. It's been about wanting to satisfy my ego on why I'm, an excellent human being who's thriving in life. But in reality, what has shifted, I think, for me is the fact that this time around, it isn't about wanting to be so hardcore and proving to myself that I'm that hardcore. It's been about me wanting to shift the way I feel and allowing myself to make changes that support that with a lot of grace and compassion around course correcting. So when I went into this, I wasn't like, that's it, you're a 5 a.m. girl. It was like, you know what, let's see how this goes and let's start to collect some data. And of course, the first day that my alarm went off, it felt hard, but I was like, give this a few days and let's see, because we can do hard things. So, I started the first day and it was starting to feel really good, and it was allowing me to not only work out, but do breath work, to do journaling, to really, really clarify my sense of self first thing in the morning before I dive into the kids. And the first day felt great. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna give it a shot again for day 2 and day 3. And so now it's been a couple of weeks. Again, I'm not making any hard and fast statements on the fact that this is gonna be lifelong. But what I will say is that the intention to do it has been very different this time. It has been about really taking responsibility and accountability for how it is that I want to feel, and then making the decisions, even if they're not easy, to actually facilitate that for myself, because nobody else is going to do it. A couple of things that I have found. The first day, I decided I was going to do breath work first, then I was going to do journaling, then I was going to go and work out. But that day, Niam woke up early, of course, like Murphy's Law. And so I found that even though, I was leaving him in his room until 6:30 because he was technically okay, it was making the experience feel angsty again. So the following day, I decided to shift the order. I was like, okay, let's try working out first, and then we'll do journaling, and then we'll do breath work. And I was like, okay, this is getting closer. By the third day, it was like, no, okay, my routine is definitely going to be the workout first, then I'm going to do the breath work, then I'm going to do the journaling, and then any other affirmations or meditation that I have time for, depending on how my morning is going. And so I gave myself and have been giving myself the flexibility to really iron out the kinks and to not get so rigid in the formula, because I can be very rigid with formulas, frankly. I like Excel spreadsheets. Like, it's very easy for me to be like, this is how I'm doing it, and this is what I said, and I'm going to stick with it this way. But again, having that flexibility and allowing myself to just really feel this out has been feeling a lot more gentle and a lot more realistic, and it's also made it a lot more fun. The other thing I will say is that it's hard for me to wake up in the morning. It's not easy, right? So it's not easy for anybody. But after a few days of going to bed earlier, because you're waking up earlier, so you're tired earlier, you're sleeping earlier, that becomes more natural because you're so tired. And then waking up becomes also more natural. And then your circadian rhythm adjusts and you become sort of one of those people who's waking up around 5 anyway. It doesn't take that long. And so what I will say is, if you're considering making a change like this, you've got to give yourself about 5 days to really assess if this is something that's going to work for you. And then you need a little bit of tough love. It's not going to be easy. It's not the most comfortable thing to do, but a few days of commitment will really lead to momentum that starts to feel very palpable and productive. So I don't have any rocket science solutions here. There's nothing revolutionary about what I'm saying. What I am saying, however, is that it is about getting clear around the why. It's really important for you to get clear around how you want to feel. It's also important for you to then take responsibility of that, because nobody else is coming to save the day, and then giving yourself grace and flexibility to find your flow. I'll keep you posted on how this is going via stories, and if you have any other questions or you want more specifics on my routine, let me know and I'll give you the details.